managed to create like the head of the snake, created some movement, and then when you eat apple, another apple will appear, and so on. So that's great for the snake game so far. So what I like to do is now I would like to create an object that basically is like opposite of the food. It's like something that you need to avoid. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do today. So firstly, let's so if let's say this is a caterpillar, I guess what okay, let me just check my stream. Yeah. Okay, is it working? Yes, it's working. Okay, so we need an object that is something that the caterpillar doesn't like. So let's see. If the caterpillar eats apples, then maybe it doesn't like don't know what's a non-food substance. Maybe poison, I guess. I don't know. Mm, see what should be the object then. Okay, let's see that would. Okay, let's see what we can. Ideally, it should be like red color so that maybe pizza. I don't know, but pizza will make people have the feeling that we should go and eat it up. Yeah, we need something that is like maybe a rotten apple. Yeah, yeah. I think a rotten apple will be good. Something that will make people not want to eat it. This one is this. This one is too good. Yeah, yeah. Maybe this is good. Eaten apple. So I should put this in the images folder, and then this one will be here. Okay, so this is the eaten apple. How to ship it in? Ship it here. Okay, so right now I can't see. Okay, it's a slight issue. It's not exactly showing the yeah. Maybe just now that was just a picture. Yeah. So let's take this away. It's not good. It means that this picture here is not. This is not a PNG. If I download this directly, is it transparent? It should be transparent. If not, I cannot. Okay, let's try to download this. Or I could just simply change the color of the apple to red color or black color, just to just show. But I'm trying not to because then it will be hard to differentiate what is good and what is bad. Okay, so let's try to download this apple first. All right. So when I save this image, it doesn't exactly save it as an apple that is non-transparent. It's kind of weird, but see over here, this is an example of something that I can't use this image if it's like that. Yeah, unless I do my own editing, which I'm trying not to. How about this? Does this image? Okay. Okay, let's see whether this is transparent. No, it's not. I mean, the other way I can use Krita, which is my software, to do this. I can use it to make it transparent, but I just want to try to get some image that I don't have to do it. Maybe I should just use my own software to do it. And look at this. It says transparent. Okay, I take it as transparent. Okay, okay, let's try. Let's try. One, you can do it. You can do it. And give me a transparent apple. How's it? Do I need to download directly from the site and download, right? Okay, so it looks like I need to do some editing myself. So no issues. I'll use Krita and I'll just make the background transparent. Krita is like it's like Paint for Mac, I guess, because there's no Paint in Mac. Yeah. Windows is better, I guess, because Windows comes built in with a Paint file. That's my Apple. Yeah, so I just want to make this transparent. So yeah, I'll take the eraser option. Okay, no, that made it purple. I remember where to do the erase option. Like there's here. Okay, that's not very good, isn't it? I just deleted that entire Apple step. I think this might do actually. Yeah, I saved it. Store alpha, this is very important. Okay, so we have the Ethan Apple already saved on my desktop. Let's delete this apple. Let's put in this apple here. Okay, so it's not exactly that great because it still has the this transparent thing at the back. I guess I would still need to make it even more transparent. Maybe I'll just like color in the stem. Hey, hi Murad. AI that plays the game, it depends actually, because in order for the AI to play this game, we need to give it like image data. Yeah, and Unity right now, we can't really train like neural nets directly. We have to export it out to Python and train it. That would be possible actually to explore, but I would say that in this series that I'm doing is more like how to like use the basic functions to create the games. Yeah, if I want to do AI, I'll just do a Python-based game. Yeah, yeah, but definitely when Unity integrates more with Python, I will definitely consider doing the AI directly. All right. Yeah, now I just need to make this whole thing transparent. So if I make it transparent, this is how it look like. Not too glamorous, I guess. Delete away all the loose ends. Maybe I'll just add the brush myself. Just add the stem of the apple myself. Something like this, maybe this color. Actually, the apple should be slightly white, right? Yeah. Something like this color, maybe. Yeah, it doesn't exactly look that great now, but you know, you just need a template apple, and maybe something like this. I should use this color tone to just copy this color. Use the brush. This is slightly, this brush is a bit big. It's a smaller brush. Yeah, feel like I'm trying to stop the cap. Yeah, in fact, even this stuff at the top, I should actually fill up this stuff at the top. It's so tedious. Must well create an apple from scratch, right? Yeah, something like this. Okay, I can tell you that I have no artistic talent here. So this apple is going to be the best of my abilities to patch up whatever that is missing from. I wonder if I can just fill this whole area. Let's try, let's try. Yeah, yeah, I should have just done that. And I just fill up this red color hole here. Okay, there's this hole here as well, right? And I can use the fill tool to fill it up. Oh, wait, wait. When I use the fill tool to fill it up, it kind of, okay, we go to the brush again. We just use the brush and fill up. Okay, this wouldn't take too long. We are almost done with this apple already. Yes. Okay. Very nice. Okay. Okay. Now time to import the apple inside. There we go. Okay, it doesn't look too bad, right? Because when you zoom it out, you can't really see all the layers too. Over here, I should make the, here's 1200, so I should go 1200 also. Yeah, now it looks about the same size. And as usual, we will have a collider. Same as my Apple. Apple has a rigid body 2D and a circle collider. So here's a kinematic. This is dynamic. I guess I can use kinematic also because I already do full kinematic context, but just to be safe, I use dynamic. Just make the gravity 0, and it won't be put down. Then I also add a component called a circle collider 2D. So here we definitely need to edit the collider because, as with all bad things, you don't want the player to complain that I narrowly scraped this apple, I didn't touch it. You know, yeah. So we're just gonna make it right in the center of the apple, just this tiny, tiny section to actually hit the apple. Maybe something like this, like well within the apple itself, but not enough to. So this eaten apple will be here in the prefab. So we will put this apple here. Okay, so now let's go to our scripts. We need to give a script for this apple as well. So in the game manager, let's open this. So we have a generate rotten food. It's basically doing the same thing here. The only difference is that the prefab is a rotten food prefab rather than a food prefab. So this will be a rotten food prefab. I need to give another rotten food prefab here. And over here is like that. Yeah, there's a slight chance that you will actually have the rotten food appear like very, very close to where your snake is actually is. So we need to make sure that we don't actually generate the we don't actually generate the apple near where the snake is. So in order to do that, we have okay, we'll put something here. Let's put a to do, not generate a rotten food near where the snake is. Okay, so we in our head code we need to ensure that we don't in the head code we need to ensure that we also generate the rotten food. Okay, so every time one food is created, okay, we're gonna if other dot game object dot tag equals to rotten food or just rotten. Okay, this means game over. And maybe we have a load game over here, then over here can be a load game over also. Then we can then put this thing here into here. This is called encapsulation, or like trying to do multiple things. You can just change one function here to do it. So if it's rotten, we load game over. We reload the whole thing, and that will settle it. So this next, I will just try out to see whether this works before we code in the remaining features. So we have our game manager here. We have food prefab and rotten food prefab, which is both they need to be given. So in our prefab, we have the eaten apple already. I will just delete this. In fact, this apple here will need to be generated here in the start. So like for example, in the game manager, we can actually at the start of this, we can actually generate one food. Okay, then I can actually delete this apple away because this apple shouldn't appear at the beginning of the scene. At the beginning of the scene, I want the code to just generate the apple out. Okay, so in this game manager, okay, let's go to our prefab for game manager. We should put the apple over here, and we should put the eaten apple here as well. And we save this prefab. Okay, we go back to our main scene. We go back to the game manager. We apply all, no, revert all. This will then make it the same as what we have seen in the prefab area. Now, whenever we have this apple, and we go to a rotten apple, see every time we take an apple, we have a rotten apple here. So that's exactly what we want. Now, sometimes the rotten apple might appear right in front of the player, which is something we want to avoid. So we need to keep track of the location of the player's head and make sure that the rotten apple doesn't go to the like within maybe a certain distance, maybe 2 or 3 from the player. So we can test out this one. The food can appear right on top of the player, no problem. No one's going to complain that the food appears right in front of you. But people are going to complain that you hit the rotten apple. And also we don't want the rotten apple to block the food particle, right? I mean there can be an instance where when you appear the food, it collides with the apple. So that we have to plan that out. If a food collides with the apple, we should regenerate the food location again. Okay, so that we don't have a case where the player will complain, why you spawn the apple right in front at a position that doesn't really give me the food. So you can see that the bad apples can appear in any position, but we want our main apple to appear in a place that is, so far we have been quite lucky. It hasn't appeared yet. Okay, so when we create the tail of the snake, it's going to be very complicated for the player. Yeah, because if you played Maca Chase before, it gets annoying if the tail gets long, or if you play snake, it's the same concept. Okay, so now I'm going to like try to hit a rotten apple and see what happens. Oh, interesting. You see, nothing happens. So this is because we haven't created a rotten label yet. So in this tag here, we should create a new tag called rotten, because our code relies on it to know it's a rotten apple. So let's try this again. Okay, let's see. Yeah, okay, that's great. Okay, okay, let's pause for a while. Is rotten apple? That's my rotten apple. Oh, it's still untagged. Okay, I know why. Because I didn't revert this. Okay, let's try again. I changed the tag, so it should work now. Yes, very good. So now once we hit there, we'll restart. So the moment you hit that, it's considered game over. The moment so you see there's some leeway. You see, when you hit the apple, you don't instantly die. You must like go all the way to the center of the apple to die. So that allows people to do this kind of near miss maneuvers, which can be quite exciting for the player, because like like actually it's quite hard to do the near miss maneuver. Most likely you will hit it. So yeah, this rotten apple. What? Oh, you see, nearly near miss. Yeah, so that is possible. And then one thing we can do is we can have the speed go higher and higher and higher. You see, that's an example of what happens when you don't have the position of your head stored, the transform position, and then because of that, we don't know for sure where not to spawn the rotten apple. Yeah. So okay, so now this is great already. Let's do our to do. Okay, hang on for a while. Yeah, I just bathed, so it's a little cold for me. Okay, so let's see. What do I want to do? I want to actually create this to do here. We do not want to generate the rotten food near where the snake is. So to do that, we need to find out where exactly is our uh, position for this. So maybe over here we have this public, maybe we have a public function here. At the bottom, we can do it here. To tell position of head. Okay, so public. Uh, okay, so over here we have to return the position variable. So can return the transform. Is the class called transform? I think it's called transform. Get position. So return this dot transform. We can return the transform here, and from the transform we can get the x and y. So over here we need to have a head object here. So this will be my private variables. This will be my public variables. over here we have a head. Okay, at the start. Okay, so over here at start they find game manager. Here a game manager. At the start we find the head equals to find object of type head. Yeah, so over here when we want to generate the food, we can actually take head dot get position, transform head pos equals to this. Okay, so over here we have the new float, right? So we can have two floats here. Float x pos and y pos. Okay, this one can be equals to, okay, so x pos y pos, food x pos and food y pos. Okay, so x pos y pos will be standard is the head pos dot x, because this one is standard. Okay, and then we have this food y and food x, which will be our random dot range. This one will be food x pos and food y pos. The z we don't have to worry. Z is always going to be 0. So we have this. Okay. Uh, we want to do a square root. So kind of forgotten how to do the square root in C#. So let's search square root, math.square root. So it's under system already. So C# power, how do we do power? Because we have to do like Euclidean distance. I mean, it's either Euclidean distance or we can just use, we want to generate x and y such that it doesn't fall within a certain range from your snake's x and y, or we can just use Euclidean distance. So looks like it's a power. So math.pow value power. So over here we can also do a random dot range. I mean, we can do an initial one when we initialize it. Just random dot range. Math dot power. Okay. There will be x pos minus food x pos dot 2 plus math dot power x. There we square the whole thing. Okay, if this one is less than equals to, let's call this one distance. And we keep repeating this code. So this should be a while actually, a while loop. Because we have to keep repeating this until we keep repeating this until we make sure that this x pos and y pos, the Euclidean distance between this food position and the current snake's head position, we have to make sure that it's greater than the one distance. So the one distance here, we can have it here. Maybe we do it like 10, yeah, to make sure that it's very, very far away. Yeah, so we can do this. I think there should be some errors. So let's brace ourselves for the errors. Let's see what errors there are. Okay, where's my console? There it is. The console is here. I'll put it somewhere here. Cement game can be here, here. Yes, I want it to appear right here. The console should appear right here. So if I clear, I will get only this one here. Transform does not contain a definition for X. Okay, Unity, transform X and Y. Looks like I need to use transform dot position. Yeah, transform dot position. So maybe instead of returning a transform, we return a vector tree, which will give us the. Actually, I don't need this. I can just return transform dot position. That will give me the position of the head. So from here we can get this will be a vector tree, and then a vector tree we can then refer it to x and y like that. So let's see if there's any more errors after I did this. Math does not exist in the current context. So we need to use system, which will give us the system functions. Random is an ambiguous. Oh no. Okay, so let's see whether Unity has an inbuilt system for power. Unity power function mathf.pow. Yeah, I think we can use the Unity inbuilt mathf so we can avoid ambiguity between the native C# functions and the C# functions that are present in Unity. So over here, we just need to change all the math to mathf, which is Unity's math functions. So this should do the trick. Let's see whether there's any more errors. No errors, very nice. So right now, if we play, we will realize that apples will appear very far away. It's like distance 10 away from. I think maybe the distance is a little too much because you see all the apples are like being forced at the borders. There's no like variability here. Yeah, so it looks like this is uh, like if you look at the head here, if we just shift it by one, this is one. So 10 is like almost near the end of the screen already. So maybe we set to a distance of two. I think 2 units of distance is a fair gauge of like it's a fair warning, right, for any user, I hope. So maybe we set this to be two. Yeah, maybe we set the warning sign, warning range to be two. That is under game manager, right? So this one distance is two. So yeah, for easier mode, the one distance is higher, but for harder modes, the one distance will be lesser. Okay, so we have solved one part of what we wanted to do, which is to make sure that the apples don't appear too near the snake's head, and that has been done. Okay, I think this makes for fair game because I remember when I played the Neopets version, sometimes the red neck they call it neck NEGG. Sometimes it appears right in front of the snake's head, which makes for very irritating gameplay. Yeah, sometimes you die for no reason, and we try to avoid that. So now the next thing what we want to do is we want to make sure that when the uh, rotten apple appears, it doesn't, uh, and when the food next position appears, it doesn't appear right in front of the rotten apple. So you see over here, all these rotten apples are okay, but we have to make sure that the snake itself doesn't actually have any, what do you call that? We want to make sure that the apple doesn't appear in front of a rotten apple or appear at the position of a rotten apple. Okay, so this is okay already. Okay, so not generate. This one is done. Okay. So in the script for the rotten apple, if let's say the rotten apple collides with the normal apple, so we have to create a new script for the rotten apple. So let's go to our prefab. It's called eaten apple, right? So we create a new script for the eaten apple. The script name must be the same as the object name itself. Okay, that's the way Unity works. So in the eaten apple, we want to create a collision. Okay, so over here in the start, we want it to find the object called game manager. Okay, so it will be a similar code to this one, so that we can reference the game manager stuff later on. So call a game manager, and then game manager at the start is find object of type game manager. Yeah, this straight away helps us to get our game manager object. Okay, so after we find object of type game manager, okay, we can then basically we need to have a collision. Okay, let's just copy and paste the collision code here. Point on collision enter 2D, collision 2D and other. Yeah, let's just copy and paste this one here. Yeah, we have this already. So if it collides with the okay, if it collides with this with food. Okay, so the food and the rotten food, they are both of type dynamic, and they both have rigid bodies, so they definitely can sense each other. So what we can do is we can do this. If other dot game object is food, okay, and okay, so there are two alternatives to do this. One is let the collision detect for itself. The others is to keep track of all the position of all the apples, and then like whenever you generate your rotten apple, if it's at that position of where the other apples are, you regenerate it. But of course, that is too tedious, so we let the physics engine of Unity do the job for us. We make sure that the apple, when it encounters a collision with normal food, it like regenerates itself. That's the point of this script. So if it lands in proximity of an apple, then regenerate location. And there will always be a case where there's a place to generate because there's always the snake head, which is an empty position. And if the apple appears directly on the snake's head, it is fine. The player will be very happy to just eat the food straight away. So we can do this. So if it lands in proximity of apple, then regenerate. So what we need to do is we need to call the game manager dot, what do you want to call here? Generate what rotten food. You have to regenerate this again, and that's not all. Okay, we also want to delete this game object. So we can actually destroy this game object straight away. We can just do this destroy game object, and the script will still run because the script will generate the rotten food. So we can do this, or to be safe, we can just do for after this game manager. But by experience, you can destroy the game object, and the script will still be running. So this will still be fine. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to go to my prefabs and put the rotten apple script. Okay, let's okay, so let's just put the prefab here first. Okay, it's easier to add the script that way. I put in this script here and apply all. So the eaten apple script will be here. Let's see whether there's any errors. Okay, no errors. Okay, then we delete this because I already applied it to the prefab. So the eaten apple will already have the script itself over here. So let's see. So all looks good so far. Looks good. Looks good. Okay, we generate this rotten apple here. We generated a rotten apple there. Yeah, looks good so far. Yeah, yeah. I think so far the code is working. Okay, so I would like to do two more things before I end this stream today. So one is, it's very irritating to keep saying the apples like that. Rotten apples come out like that. So we want to have a probability that a rotten apple will be generated. Typically, maybe I think about 30% chance of generating a rotten apple would be a good idea because we don't want to keep generating rotten apples, right? Because it's so cluttered. Yeah. So far the rotten apple position is okay, and so far it hasn't appeared in front of an apple yet. So I think the code is working correctly. Yeah. Sorry, the apple hasn't appeared in front of a rotten apple, or rather, the rotten apple has not appeared in front of an apple yet. Yeah, because the collision checking is on the rotten apple itself, not on the apple. Yeah, we basically don't want the rotten apple to appear on top of our food, right? Okay, so now I want to reduce the chance of a rotten apple happening. So we can go over here. So over here we can have only generate if the probability is false within 30%. Okay, so we need to do a random dot range here. So over here we do it in terms of a float so that it's inclusive. So over here will be floats generate probability equals this. Okay, if gen probability, okay, maybe here we call this prop smaller than the gen prop, then we do this. Okay, so gen prop will be a hyperparameter or variable that we can tune, okay, to make the game harder or easier. So here public float gen prop will be 0.3f. Okay, let's try again. Yeah, the next time I do this stick will be the harder one because we need to make the snake remember the waypoints and add the tail. That will be harder. Okay, so you see now it may not generate. 30% chance of generating. So sometimes it generates, sometimes it doesn't. Let Which is good because we don't want it to keep generating rotten apples. So sometimes the player will curse like, "Oh, damn it! How come I get a rotten apple?" But in most cases, the player won't curse. The player will like, "Oh, not too bad." Yeah, in fact, we can even create a script whereby the apple itself it's randomly generated. The color of the apple will be randomly generated, and this will correspond to different kinds of points. Something like Merca Chase, you have different color nicks appearing, and sometimes the egg appears to be very good, sometimes it appears to be very bad. And yeah, so far I like the implementation of this rough idea already. Okay, so I like to do like one more thing before we end the stream, which is to create a score. So to do the score, we have a game object, UI text. Okay, I'll just create a text so that a canvas will appear. So in this text, so the canvas will be like not exactly. Uh, okay, so I want this text to appear right at the top. So maybe here, okay. And here we just use Arial. I mean, I didn't download any other fonts. Okay, we can increase the size of our text to be like this. Okay, and over here will just be score dot dot and something. Okay, and then this one will be aligned to the center like that. We go back to game. Okay, so you see over here. Okay, maybe the score wise, we can afford to bring it down a bit somewhere here. Yeah, that looks good. So if I were to shift my scale of the game, the score will be right at the center, I mean right at the top. Yeah, so this is actually not too bad. This score variable here at the center. Okay, so let me just make sure that this is okay, right? So next up, we need to go to our game manager. First, we make sure that we are using a text, okay? .ui. This will ensure that we can access the text elements of Unity. So in our public variables, we have a public text, score text. Okay, this one we need to create and put it in the game manager. Okay, and then this score text basically will be updated every time we eat an apple. So over here we have integer score. Okay, start with it with 0. Okay, actually over here we can just put score equals 0, like right here. Okay, we should put it here because every time when we do a start, then we will want to make sure that the score is 0. Uh, okay, then we basically need to have a public void add score, and over here we add this certain score here. So score this dot score plus equals score. Okay, so this dot score is basically the scope of this, which is the scope of the function, and then we add score this score here. I mean, the other way to do it would be to use a different name for this score, but there's no need to. Just by doing this, we can already differentiate between the scope of uh, this entire function versus this score, which is within this scope of this add score function. Okay, and that's not all. We still need to display score. So display score will update the text. So void display score. Okay, this one we can do it internally because only this method will access it. So over here we have score text. So score text dot text equals to score plus score dot to string. So this will convert our score to a string like that. So this is good enough. And over here at the start, when we have this score is 0, we also need to display score. Just update the score variable. Okay, so we are done with the score. Uh, the next thing is whenever we use the head and collide with an apple, we need to give ourselves a score. So based on the type of the apple, we can give ourselves different score, but here we just assume that we only have one type of apple for now. We give ourselves 1 point for each apple we eat. So over here, destroy game object. Okay, and we can delete this. We don't need this. Destroy the game object, and then we can game manager dot add score. Did I call it add score? Yeah, it's add score 1. Yeah, so we give ourselves 1 point for this. Okay, let's see whether there's any errors. Oh, I'm surprised, no errors. That's interesting. Okay, so here's our game manager. We need to add the score text here. Okay, let's take a look at the game. Oh, you see, nice. Now score 1, score 2. So likely tomorrow or Friday when I do finish the rest of the game, tomorrow I should be, or tomorrow or Friday I should be adding the tail to the snake. Okay, so the tail will have like things that follow it, and then once you collide the tail, you also have a game over. Okay, then maybe the next few days we can also do the animation of the snake head because in Neopets the mecha chase, the head actually is like a little mecha that actually moves. That's kind of cool. We can do that for our game as well. I would like to do that for the game, yeah. Because having a circle as a snake head is kind of boring. Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, 21 points, 22 points. Yeah, we can also build a high score table, but yeah, we'll wait for that. More of that at the end. Okay, so this Okay, so look at that. The apple appeared there. Oh wow! When the apple appeared there, the the rotten apple disappears. Okay, so maybe I should make the object of the what do you call that? I should make the constraint be on the apple itself rather than the rotten apple. You see what I mean? Just now the apple appeared right in front of the rotten object, and then the rotten apple disappeared. Although I think the player will enjoy this more because this means that certain rotten apples will get cleared up. Yeah, but yeah, we'll see how it goes tomorrow. I'll just end here for now, and I will continue this game tomorrow or on Friday. All right. Thanks for watching, and see ya.